Fred Zollner, honored posthumously, had a major impact on the growth of professional basketball. He helped oversee the merger that created the NBA, and without his vision, sacrifices, and personal commitment, the NBA might not have survived its early years. As we view the phenomenal growth of the professional game around the world today, it is fitting that we recognize the importance of this man. For these contributions, by virtue of the vote of the Honors Committee and by the power vested in the Board of Trustees, it is an honor to enshrine Fred Zollner as a contributor into the Basketball Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, here to represent Fred Zollner is his longtime friend and the former coach of the Fort Wayne Zollner Pistons, Carl Bennett. Carl is joined by another close friend and a former general manager of the Pistons, Ed Coyle. He is welcomed by former Piston great, Hall of Famer George Yardley.
Okay, I bet you thought I wouldn't make it. Anyway, it's a real honor for me, and I only wish that Fred Zollner was here today because he has worked so hard, put so much into the game he loved, the game of basketball, and everything he thought of, everything he wanted to do was to try to improve it. As you all know, if you're interested in it, he helped in the National Basketball League and even into the BAA, NBA years to perpetuate the game of basketball. And that was his first thought. He always wanted to be the best, but on the other hand, his teams in the NBA, he was best up to the 7th game of a game in 1955 with the Syracuse Nationals, and we lost it in the last 12 seconds by 1 point. But Fred tried. It didn't shake him up. He stayed right with the game, and his players, to the player, I would think, and there are some of them here tonight. George is up here, Andy Phillips around, there are several of them, and he really treated his players and his team. And as you've seen on the screen, a lot of the facts that I might have talked about, but you've already heard them, and we do not need to repeat. But I did want to say this, that Fred was an engineer, industrialist, community leader, humanitarian, and a sportsman. And that was his way of living his life without any interest of doing harm to anyone. Back in our days, his integrity was with a contract with a player, was a handshake. And that was as good as any piece of paper that you could get. Integrity, truthfulness, hard work, and do the best that you can. He did have some other honors that you did not see on the screen, and they were related to his degrees in college and engineering degrees, and he was presented with the basketball at the Phoenix All-Star Game in 1955, and Mr. Podloff called that Fred Zollner Mr. Pro Basketball. So I'm really pleased this evening to have had this opportunity and working for Fred. And Fred, I want you to know, wherever you are, that this game of basketball, which is the greatest game there is, and I see by the papers that this coming year because Dr. Naismith said in his first rule that he set up in 1891, basketball was a game of no bodily contact. And I see that in 1999-2000, the new rules are no body contact. Let's wait and see. Anyway. After waiting 15 years, and with Fred 33 years in professional basketball, and all of the people that helped, one or two of them are here tonight, and I'd like to introduce or have her stand up, is Marge Bostrom, who became CEO of the Zollner Corporation at Fred's death. She was a helper and a principal advisor to Fred in the early years. So is Marge here? And then there is another young man, and it's Fred's maybe only living relative, and that's Rob Fisher. And Rob, are you here? There he is. Now, I would be remiss if after all of this time I did not introduce my family. I'm not going to give you their names because I can't remember all of them. My wife, Carol, and would my family stand up? Thank you very much, and you know, I brought my family because I'd never come up here alone. Thank you, and good night.